This is hashtag trending for Monday, August the 10th, 2026. Flock camera backlash spreads across America. Cloudflare predicts humans will become an internet rounding error. No, AI isn't replacing New Orleans 9/11 dispatchers. Roku gives AI Slop its own 24-hour TV channel. Those are the headlines. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. The controversy surrounding Flock's safety surveillance cameras isn't going away. In fact, it's getting bigger, and increasingly it's bringing together people from opposite sides of the political spectrum. At least 54 American cities have canceled, deactivated, declined to renew, or outright rejected Flock systems so far this year. Flock, a crowdsourced project that maps license plate readers, has a broader list of 100 communities rejecting the technology. At the heart of the backlash is privacy. A Flock camera may sit on one street corner, but its real power comes when thousands of those cameras become a searchable network. Police can potentially follow a vehicle far beyond their own jurisdiction. And there have been documented abuses, many of them. A North Carolina officer allegedly searched Flock 31 times to track her boyfriend's ex-wife. In another case, a Texas deputy searched a nationwide network during an investigation involving a woman who had a self-managed abortion. And there's the question of how much bigger this surveillance network could become. Flock and Amazon's Ring announced an integration that would have connected the two systems. It ran an ad on the Super Bowl and was canceled before it even launched because of the backlash. More recently, documents revealed that Flock had pitched another idea to use roughly 350,000 Uber, Lyft, and delivery driver dash cams to gather license plate information. That proposal wasn't implemented either. Those projects don't tell us what Flock will ultimately do, but they do show the scale of surveillance the company has been willing to explore. But if official misuse isn't enough to make people nervous, there's also the security of the cameras. We've reported previously on technologist Ben Jordan and security researcher John Gaines, who uncovered serious weaknesses in Flock's systems. In one investigation, more than 60 Flock camera feeds and their administration systems were exposed online without requiring a username or password. Researchers could view live video and archive footage and access camera controls. Flock said the problem was a limited misconfiguration and that it was fixed. But some citizens aren't waiting for their local governments to act. Vandalizing Flock cameras has developed somewhat of an online culture of its own. The Guardian documented at least 33 incidents across 23 states in which cameras were damaged or destroyed as an explicit protest against surveillance. And then Google accidentally threw gasoline on the fire. A joke was circulating online claiming that Flock cameras contained valuable gold and copper. Google's AI overview apparently didn't get the joke. It reported that a Flock camera contained between 1 and 5 grams of gold, potentially worth as much as $650, and between 2 and 23 pounds of copper. There was one obvious problem with that last number. The entire camera weighs about 3 pounds. The claims weren't based on reliable technical information. Futurism found Google's AI summary was relying on an anonymous Substack post and an AI-generated Instagram post. Flock argues that its technology helps police solve crimes and that safeguards exist to control access and audit searches. But the Flock controversy has become an unusual object lesson in trust. People are asking whether they can trust a private surveillance network capable of reconstructing where they've traveled. And now, they're also being reminded not to automatically trust AI-generated summaries that appear at the top of a Google search. Apparently, whether we're talking about the cameras watching us or the AIs telling us about those cameras, verification still matters. Humans are already becoming a minority on the internet. Cloudflare thinks that within 5 years, we could become statistically irrelevant. Cloudflare's current measurements show bots generating more web requests than humans. It's a trend that's been going on for some time. Its live radar data has recently put automated traffic at roughly 59% of HTTP requests to web pages. Another major study, Thales's 2026 Bad Bot Report, puts bots at 53% of internet traffic during 2025, with 40% of all traffic coming from bad bots. But Cloudflare's chief financial officer, Thomas Seifert, says we're just getting started. He predicts that if current trends continue, within 5 years, non-human internet traffic could be as much as 1,000 times human traffic. Now, I'm no mathematician, although I'm better than some politicians, but if he's right, that works out to about 99.9% of internet traffic being generated by machines. Humans wouldn't even be a rounding error. Why the explosion? Well, AI agents don't use the internet the way we do. A human shopping for a camera might visit 5 websites. Cloudflare CEO Matthew Prince points out that an AI agent could examine 5,000 sites while performing that same task. Multiply that across millions of agents researching products, comparing airfares, collecting information, and performing tasks, and the number of requests is going to grow enormously. And there's evidence that that acceleration is already happening. Thales says AI-driven bot attacks increased 12.5 times in a single year, from about 2 million to 25 million daily attacks. There is, however, one important caveat attached to Cloudflare CFO's Thomas Seifert's forecast. He admits he's been wrong before. In fact, before making the prediction, he offered what he called a big caveat, that he'd called the trend wrong at every point along the way. Cloudflare originally predicted machine traffic wouldn't surpass human traffic until 2027. According to their measurements, that happened in May of this year. So Seifert has indeed been wrong. The problem is, he's apparently been wrong because things happen faster than he expected. Here's a headline that's almost guaranteed to get your attention. It got mine. The Shreveport Times reported New Orleans will use AI to answer 911 calls instead of a human. I don't know about you, but if I'm calling 911, I'm probably having a bad day. The last thing I want to hear is an AI chatbot asking how it can assist me. But that's not quite what's happening. New Orleans is actually using AI in 2 different ways, and they're getting mixed together. For non-emergency 311 calls, the city is introducing an AI agent trained on 3 years of calls. Officials say half of those calls are simply people looking for information rather than requesting a city service. The AI can answer those questions, but it can't create service tickets. The 911 system is different. During something like a major car accident, dozens of people could call 911 about the same incident. Carbine's AI triage system can recognize those duplicate calls. It asks whether you're calling about the incident already underway, and if you are, it can provide information. And if you're calling about something else, you're transferred to a human dispatcher. New Orleans says that AI is not being used to handle the actual emergency. And there may be a legitimate case for doing this. New Orleans Emergency Communications Center handles more than 1 million calls a year and said staffing shortages make sudden call surges particularly difficult. In a 90-day period, Carbine says its system triaged more than 3,500 events and reduced redundant calls among those that it handled by more than 30%. Nobody wants artificial intelligence deciding whether their heart attack, house fire, or frightened child deserves human attention. But using AI to answer routine 311 questions or stop the 20th caller reporting the same accident from tying up the dispatcher who could be answering someone else's first call for help is a very different proposition. So maybe the large lesson here isn't really about 911. It might be about how we react to headlines about AI. Whatever you think about artificial intelligence, whether you believe it's taking jobs, being pushed into places it doesn't belong, or simply being deployed too quickly, details still matter. AI filters duplicate reports so human dispatchers can answer new emergencies faster is a very different story, but it's not a good clickbait headline. And regardless how you feel about AI, it is difficult to argue against at least testing a system that could prevent someone with a genuine emergency from sitting in a queue while several dispatchers are taking reports about the same incident. There are plenty of legitimate reasons to be skeptical about AI, but skepticism still requires us looking past the headlines and finding out what the technology is actually doing. And finally, here's something I'm pretty sure nobody asked for, but bonus, you're getting it anyway. Roku has a television channel devoted entirely to AI-generated entertainment, broadcasting 24 hours a day. It's called Fairground AI Creator TV, and Roku describes it as original series, films, and shorts from what it calls the world's best AI storytellers, covering everything from science fiction and drama to animation, true crime, documentaries, and comedy. And yes, it's free with ads. Apparently the ads are also made by AI, because apparently even artificial intelligence can't escape commercials. Fairground Entertainment launched last year and says it works with more than 40 AI content studios and a collection of human creators using generative AI to make the programming. So this isn't an AI sitting somewhere deciding what television humans should watch. People are still apparently creating, editing, and curating the material, but the reviews haven't been exactly glowing. The Verge watched the channel for about an hour, which is about an hour more than I did, and described much of it as the same short-form AI slop already familiar from social media. Inconsistent visuals, questionable animation, and stories of varying coherence. The reviewer could follow some of the narratives and detected evidence of human post-production, but wasn't exactly looking for season 2. Fairground sees this very differently. Founder Colin Petrie-Norris calls it a new form of AI cinema and says putting it on connected televisions gives AI creators access to audiences they couldn't previously reach. And technically, he's right. Until now, much of this material has been inflicted on us across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Roku is now performing a valuable public service by putting it all in one place. Now, if we could just convince YouTube to put all of its AI slop onto a separate channel, they can even have my suggested title for free, Top Slop. Don't watch for it. Hollywood calls. Have your agent call my agent. And that's our show. If you like what we're doing, please share the show with others. Give us a like or comment on your favorite podcast app or site. And you can have your AI agent contact our AI agent, or you could just do it the old-fashioned way. Reach me at technewsday.ca or .com. Go to the Contact Us page, and if you're watching on YouTube, just leave a comment under the video. And for the person out there who always says, aha, I knew you were an AI, all I have to say is, if I was going to make an AI to do this show, don't you think I would have made it better looking? So, from the guy who has a face for radio, I'm your host, Jim Love. Have a marvelous Monday.